Great.
Komentator Islamofobia AS Charlie Kirk ditembak mati di acara universitas. Presiden Trump terlihat sangat kecewa. Komentator Amerika yang dikenal Islamofobia sekaligus pendukung fanatik Israel itu telah tewas ditembak di sebuah acara universitas di Utah.
To my great fellow Americans, I am filled with grief and anger at the heinous assassination of Charlie Kirk on a college campus in Utah.
Sebuah video yang beredar di media sosial memperlihatkan Kirk tengah duduk di bawah kanopi, berbicara di hadapan ribuan mahasiswa Universitas Utah Valley. Tiba-tiba suara tembakan terdengar. Kirk sontak tersentak ke belakang, sementara para mahasiswa panik dan berhamburan melarikan diri.
Oh my God! Go, run! Oh. You guys okay?
Dalam rekaman lain yang diambil dari jarak dekat, terlihat peluru menembus leher Kirk, disertai dengan semburan darah hebat yang terjadi seketika. Hingga kini, polisi masih memburu pelaku dan belum menyatakan lokasi kejadian aman bagi masyarakat. Siapa Charlie Kirk? Charlie Kirk, 31 tahun, dikenal sebagai pendiri dan pimpinan Turning Point USA, organisasi yang mendorong nilai-nilai konservatif di sekolah dan kampus. Sebagai seorang Kristen evangelis, sekaligus pendukung fanatik Trump, ia jadi idola kelompok kanan Amerika, terutama gerakan MAGA, dengan retorika tentang pasar bebas, pemerintahan terbatas, dan nilai tradisional. Tapi namanya juga terkenal karena serangan terhadap Islam. Kirk berulang kali melabeli Islam sebagai ideologi politik yang tidak sesuai dengan nilai barat, penuh ancaman budaya, dan berbahaya bagi keamanan.
The question is macro Islam compatible with Western values? Macro. Of course it's not. I cannot see a single Western country that has become more Islamic and has become a better place to live that is happier or freer.
By what metric? Just happiness, quality?
Everything from quality of life, from cultural cohesion, from whether people want to live there, from prior to the native-born fertility rates.
Ia pernah menyerang kandidat Muslim seperti Zohran Mamdani dan Omar Fateh, menuduh mereka membawa agenda Islam untuk mengambil alih pemerintahan.
What's happening in New York City is an insurgency against the West. Last night, Zohran Mamdani, guy not born in this country, and most importantly, he is an anti-Western manifestation of the red-green axis that want to destabilize this country. It is very clear that Mamdani is wearing the costume to destroy the greatest city and the largest city in America. Looks like Zohran is the favorite to become the mayor of New York, and he is as bad as it gets. He wants to globalize the Intifada. He's a legitimate anti-Semite, anti-Western.
Selain itu, Kirk juga dikenal sebagai Zionis Kristen garis keras. Ia membela Israel habis-habisan, menyebutnya suar moral di Timur Tengah, sekaligus menuding Palestina hanya sebagai pihak pengacau yang dekat dengan Hamas.
Why are there so many dead kids? Why are you okay with dead babies?
Good question. Why are there dead kids? Because Hamas has no care. Time out. Israel. So you think Israel? Let me get this straight. Let's think how irrational it is. Israel sits around.
Are you okay with dead babies?
Hold on. I want to make sure this is okay.
No, I need.
Of course, I'm not okay with dead kids. Okay, ridiculous. I'm the most pro-life person. I've debated for 2 hours. Time out. Stop interrupting me. Do you think Israel? Do you think Israel sits around? They say, how do we kill more kids in Gaza today?
I mean, so why are they killing kids then?
Exactly. Let's think. Maybe it's because Hamas uses the kids as human shields on top of their military bases. Maybe that's why.
Namun menariknya, ada yang janggal. Baru 20 menit setelah tembakan terdengar, Benjamin Netanyahu sudah lebih dulu menyampaikan belasungkawa dari Israel. Padahal, saat itu kematian Kirk bahkan belum dipastikan secara resmi. Cepat banget atau memang sudah ada skenario yang disiapkan?
News service and Benjamin Netanyahu had made a comment and made the announcement that Charlie Kirk had passed, that he was in fact dead, that Charlie has died. They made that announcement roughly 20 minutes after the shooting. U.S. News reported nothing of that he was stable. Some reports said that he was in surgery. Of course, obviously, I've talked to people.
Biasanya, pemimpin dunia akan menunggu. diam atau paling tidak menyampaikan belasungkawa yang hati-hati, sampai fakta jelas di atas kertas. Tapi Netanyahu justru buru-buru buka suara, mengabaikan empati keluarga dan orang-orang terdekatnya yang sedang menunggu dan berharap berita baik yang datang. Dan itu saja sudah cukup bikin alis terangkat. Apalagi ketika FBI sendiri mengaku mereka bahkan belum tahu siapa penyerangnya.
Again, hundreds of people here this evening for Charlie Kirk. And just a lot of emotions.
Orang-orang masih berkerumun, sementara si tersangka entah di mana. Situasi yang justru bikin banyak pihak teringat pada pola lama, modus operandi Mossad. Ketakutannya sederhana, kalau benar jaringan intelijen Israel ikut main, maka sang pembunuh mungkin takkan pernah ditemukan. Dan mari kita jujur, kita memang tak pernah mengagumi Charlie Kirk. Sikapnya yang tanpa malu-malu menjilat Israel, bahkan ketika Gaza berlumuran darah akibat genosida, jelas membuatnya sosok yang sulit disukai umat Islam. Namun, mari kita tetap jadi manusia yang baik. Kita tidak menari di atas kematian, apalagi merayakan tragedi. Kebencian boleh kita simpan, tapi kewarasan berpikir tetap lebih utama.
Great.
Coba tatap lagi rekaman serangan brutal itu. Melihat tubuhnya lunglai, darah mengucur deras, bulu kuduk siapapun bakal berdiri. Bukan hanya keluarganya yang kini ditelan kehilangan, tapi juga jadi pengingat pahit bagi warga Palestina yang hampir setiap hari menghadapi peluru penembak jitu dengan cara serupa. Dan yang lebih bikin curiga, tragedi ini justru menimpa Kirk di saat akhir hidupnya, ketika retakan mulai terlihat. Kesetiaannya pada Israel yang dulu tanpa kompromi, perlahan mulai pudar. Charlie Kirk mulai berbalik membela rakyat Palestina.
Fact is now Bibi and the Israeli hard-right government has a mandate, I gotta be careful the way I say this, they're gonna try to ethnically cleanse Gaza. I mean, I don't use that term lightly, okay? They're talking about basically removing 2.5 million people from there, okay? And honestly, they have a mandate to go seek justice and revenge. They do. This idea that they need to have a truce or a peace treaty, that's morally crap after you see women and children be burned alive and dragged to the streets. But there are some serious questions here, Patrick. And let me tell you, my pattern recognition over the last 5 years has become pretty sharp. COVID, Maui fires, Epstein. When I see a story and it doesn't click, our guts are usually right. So I've been to Israel many times. The whole country's a fortress. When I first heard this story, I still have the same gut instinct that I did initially. I find this very hard to believe. I've been to that Gaza border. You cannot go 10 feet without running into a 19-year-old with an AR-15 or an automatic machine gun. That is an IDF soldier, right? The whole country is surveilled. And so let me just kind of go through this. We don't talk about Israeli politics very often, and most Americans don't know this. The last 9 months, Israel was on the brink of civil war. It's not an exaggeration. This judicial stuff, there were hundreds of thousands of Israelis taking to the streets because Bibi Netanyahu is basically redefining the Israeli constitution. That's not an exaggeration, right? He said the judicial branch has too much power. There were protests planned this week against Netanyahu, where they anticipated tens of thousands of people to take to the streets. That's all gone, Patrick. Netanyahu now has an emergency government and a mandate to lead. I'm not willing to go so far that saying that Netanyahu knew or there was intelligence here, but I think some questions need to be asked. Was there a stand down order? Was there a stand down order? 6 hours? I don't believe it. Israel's the size of New Jersey. When I took a helicopter ride from Jerusalem
to the Gaza border, it's 45 minutes. Wow. 6 hours. They're live streaming the killing of Jews. Did somebody in the government say, stand down? That is a legitimate, non-conspiracy question. The whole country is the IDF. The whole country is.
Yeah.
And you're trying to tell me that they're going to concerts and kibbutzes and schools, and by reports, 6 hours. Let's say it's 3 hours.
That's suspect. Go ahead, Rob.
It's also not like a right-wing reporting. This is from the New York Times. The long wait for help as massacre unfolds in Israel.
9
I can't think of a
hours.
more liberal news outlet than the New York Times.
And by the way, I'm actually very pro-Israel. So let me be very, so I'm not exact.
Well, I think we all are.
No, I just want to make sure my position is clear here. But so Patrick, there are other explanations. It's possible that the Netanyahu government was double-crossed by bad agents. Okay? That's dark, but it's not as dark as what we're talking about.
Ia mulai menyadari seolah Mossad merekayasa serangan itu terjadi sebagai tiket emas bagi Netanyahu untuk mengantongi izin Amerika dalam kampanye genosidanya. Lebih jauh lagi, Kirk mulai dihantui kekhawatiran. Jangan-jangan justru negaranya sendiri yang akan menjadi korban dari konspirasi yang ia dukung selama ini.
And Jewish donors, they have a lot of explaining to do, a lot of decoupling to do, because Jewish donors have been the #1 funding mechanism of radical, open border, neoliberal, quasi-Marxist policies, cultural institutions, and nonprofits. This is a beast created by secular Jews. And now it's coming for Jews, and they're like, what on earth happened? And it's not just the colleges. It's the nonprofits, it's the movies, it's Hollywood, it's all of it. It's like, time for you guys to wake up and say no more, draw a line in the sand. I don't care if you hate me.
Kirk akhirnya secara terbuka merapat ke Candace Owens dan Tucker Carlson, salah satu dari segelintir konservatif yang berani menyebut nama Netanyahu di media sosial. Dan bagi sosok selevel dirinya, langkah itu jelas bukan tanpa risiko.
Jewish communities have been pushing the exact kind of hatred against whites that they claim to want people to stop using against them. Now, I don't like generalizations. Not every Jewish person believes that. But it is true the Anti-Defamation League was part and parcel with Black Lives Matter. It is true that some of the largest financiers of left-wing anti-white causes have been Jewish Americans. They went all in on woke, and it wasn't just ADL. It was some of the top Jewish organizations in the country that have done that. In fact, we have seen this with the recent retreat of Jewish donations that are no longer going to be administered to colleges, right? Mark Rowan, Leon Kopperman. Can we get that full list? It's very powerful. The part of so that's totally true. And by the way, Tucker Carlson reinforces this. So I'm going to kind of, it was quite a day on the internet. Tucker Carlson was interviewing Candace Owens. We have Candace Owens coming up next hour. And Tucker Carlson mentions that Jewish Americans have primarily been financing cultural Marxist ideas. We said this, by the way, last week, and people came after us. Actually said it in a different way. We said, I'm glad that Jewish Americans are reconsidering their financing of cultural Marxism. And people misunderstood it intentionally and slandered us as being anti-Semites. But listen to this. Tucker Carlson is completely correct by saying this, that the philosophical foundation of anti-whiteness has been largely financed by Jewish donors in the country.
Bukan hanya menyinggung para donatur Yahudi, Kirk bahkan mulai berani menentang agenda Zionis, terutama ketika mereka mendorong Amerika ikut serta dalam serangan terhadap Iran.
We put them in power. We displaced the Shah. We displaced the democratically elected leader Mossadegh and put in the Shah, which then of course led to the Ayatollahs of Iran. And then finally, is a nuclear weapon against Iran a threat to America? Probably. Could be a threat to Israel, but is it a threat to America? I mean, India has nuclear weapons. Pakistan has nuclear weapons. So is it worth a potential another war with Iran? And the people that are, let's just say, advocates for preventing Iran from getting a nuclear weapon by all means necessary, they're the same architects that were perfectly fine with the Iraq War, the same designers of the Iraq War. And I seriously want your thoughts. Email me, freedom@charliekirk.com. Would you say it's a good idea to use military force to strike potential Iranian nuclear targets. My whole life, I've been told that Iran is getting a bomb. Iran is getting a bomb. Iran is getting a bomb. Iran is getting a nuclear bomb. And yet here in 2025, they do not have a nuclear bomb. So why should we trust the American intelligence without verifying it?
Beberapa bulan belakangan, Harrison H. Smith menulis sebuah laporan yang cukup mencengangkan. Ia mengklaim ada orang dekat Kirk yang membocorkan ketakutan paling gelapnya, bahwa nyawanya terancam. Dalam tulisan itu, Smith mengutip, "Saya tidak akan menyebutkan nama, tetapi saya diberitahu oleh seseorang yang dekat dengan Charlie Kirk, bahwa Charlie berpikir Israel akan membunuhnya jika dia menentang mereka."
I don't have much to add to it other than basically like a month ago, I watched an interview with Megyn Kelly and Charlie Kirk, and I thought they looked scared, and I commented on that, made a video out of it. And then like a day or so later, I was talking to this person, and the way I remember the conversation going was that we were just talking about sort of Israel and Zionism and Zionist influencers, and Charlie Kirk came up, and I remember the other person saying to me, well, you know, Charlie Kirk says he's afraid to go against Israel because he thinks they might kill him. And I said, that's crazy because I just made that video about how Charlie Kirk seems scared. That's crazy that you're saying that right now.
Ironi sejarah terkadang pahit. Charlie Kirk yang dulu dikenal sebagai penghina Islam justru menutup hidupnya di titik ketika ia mulai berbalik membela Palestina. Kita mungkin tidak pernah sepakat dengan kata-katanya di masa lalu, tapi sebagai sesama manusia, kita bisa mengakui keberanian untuk melawan arus Zionis bukan hal kecil, apalagi untuk seseorang di posisinya. Maka bukan perayaan yang pantas, melainkan pelajaran bahwa siapapun bisa tersadar meski terlambat. Dan kematian tragisnya mengingatkan kita akan satu hal. Allah berfirman dalam Al-Quran, mereka membuat tipu daya dan Allah menggagalkan tipu daya itu. Dan Allah adalah sebaik-baik pembalas tipu daya. Semoga akhir hidupnya menjadi saksi bahwa kebenaran cepat atau lambat akan selalu menemukan jalannya.